What's up, everybody? This is Chris, aka Barn11970. Thanks for checking out this video. And I guess I have a lot on my mind today, which I appreciate, because there's times where I just get into a lull and feel like I'm unmotivated, and then situations happen and it brings my motivation up, and everything happens for a reason. I'm really starting to learn a lot of things in the truth kind of community and the people who are trying to save the world. Now, I'll be the first person to say I am all for loving thy neighbor and thou shalt not kill and peace and unity. But the one thing I've learned in this community, because I've had hundreds of people that have friend requested me on my Facebook page, especially the Barn on 11970, and a lot of people that are supposedly into this Awoken movement. And I'm using quotes because, you know, it's kind of facetious, this movement, because there's so many different movements. But what I've learned is, it seems that there's an agenda even there where people are being programmed into selfishness. And not in a bad way in the sense that it's wrong, but it's kind of the drowning in good intentions kind of scenario. Because if I look at it from an enemy's perspective, if I want to keep doing evil, and I don't want the people interfering with it, if I try and punish them, they're going to fight back. If I try and imprison them, they're going to realize the fraud. If I try to anger them, they may revolt. But if I can get them to love one another, they may just sit around and actually just take care of their own individual needs, instead of trying to stop me, the evil one that's trying to corrupt the entire world. And I'm speaking for the banksters, the politicians, the money changers, all the people that are really in charge. Not presidents, because they're illusions, they're puppets. If you don't know that, ask Abraham Lincoln and ask John F. Kennedy, who got assassinated for trying to do the right thing and going against the real powers. But it's like almost like in the 60s movement, where people were protesting the war, and then all of a sudden drugs just happened to be introduced to that community, and they all sat around picking flowers, creating peace and love, which is wonderful in a perfect world. And I'm all for, like I said, the whole peace and love thing, but how can you do that? How can you sit there and say, oh, I love myself and I'm so happy for myself, and next door somebody's being beaten by a policeman, or robbed by a criminal, or being murdered by a crowd, or being oppressed by a government? Do you see the agenda that that creates? They're basically saying to you, well, we can't really imprison you because you'll escape. We really don't want to anger you because you might revolt. But if we can get you to be selfish and think of it as a good thing, then you're not stopping us from doing evil. So if you're sitting there hugging a tree while somebody else is getting robbed and mugged, like an old lady or an old man getting robbed, and you're sitting there saying, you know what, I'm all into peace and harmony and love, and I'm going to hug this tree, and I'm just going to ignore that because it's not in my zen. It's not going to ruin my chi. You're not doing good. And there's an old saying that says, not telling truth is the same as lying. And it's the hypocrisy in this world. And it's so funny. I see some of these trolls now. They're so obsessed with me. They might as well just admit they're in love with me or something, because all they do is talk about me. I see people that show me links to stuff all the time. I don't bother to watch it because I don't care anymore. But there are some people that focus on the negative, and there are some people in the other extreme that focus too much on the love and the peace. And like I said, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But you can't be in the middle of a war zone saying, I love myself, and do nothing to stop the suffering around you. I think the time for peace, love, and harmony is when our fellow brothers and sisters around the world who are suffering can enjoy that with us. Otherwise, it's not beneficial. And you're ignoring the problem to make yourself be able to sleep better at night. So this is primarily to some of the people in the truther community and the people on my Facebook page. Because what I talk about when I'm trying to expose this stuff about what could potentially have happened in Houston, I've never said I guaranteed it. I'm never saying this is what happened. What I'm saying is, here's an alternative view so you can have choices to make your decision, instead of the propaganda on the media that's saying this is what happened believe in what we say and do not question it. And we will not investigate any other possibilities. And some people will sit there and say, oh, well, you know, I hate you for that. I don't care about being popular. I don't talk about things to become best friends with the world. I'm here to create change and at least show you there's a possibility to think outside of an agenda that they're programming you in. And there are some people that are desperately trying to discredit me for that. And that shows the traitors that they are and why they're just irrelevant and quite sad. But in this community of truth, if you look the other way because you feel, oh, I need to love myself, well, the criminals at the top that are screwing the whole world are loving you because you're basically saying you're not going to help stop evil. And you don't use evil to fight evil. In other words, you cannot use war to justify peace. In other words, I'm going to murder a bunch of people. And that's why, like I say, we can take peaceful action. You can't say, I have a problem with government because they're murdering people, and then you go and murder people in government. Do you not see the oxymoron about that? But that doesn't mean you can't defend yourself or you don't have the right. So if somebody's trying to kill you and you unfortunately kill them defending yourself, well, you know what? They caused it. So I'm not saying be peace and loving and say, oh, you're trying to murder me, so let's hug you. Or, oh, you're trying to attack an old woman? I'm going to thank you and say, you know, bless you, I forgive you. No, you have the right to defend and protect. There's a difference between attack and defense. And they don't want people to know about this. And they also want the extreme, where they want people to sit around smoking a peace pipe saying, love one another, while the rest of the world, 90% of the world, is suffering and dying and in pain and in poverty. So you can feel good about what you think you're doing is good? Shame on those people. And like they say, the path to hell is paved in good intentions. So be aware of that. I'm not saying these people are doing it to be evil. But when you ignore what's going on, you're not helping to fix it. And I think the time to love yourself and be peaceful with the world is when all of us can share it together. That's the real truth. And a lot of people don't like that. And there are going to be people who hate me or criticize me or even ignore it. But you can't stop truth. Plain and simple. And sometimes truth is about perception. My perception may not be the same as yours, but at least I am showing my ability to think on my own. Don't be a follower. Thanks for watching. Peace when it's ready for all of us.